As the industry and its influence continues to grow, the distinction between video games and other mediums becomes increasingly more unclear. Which once started as a means of entertainment has now become an outlet for authors, directors, artists, and musicians to express their influence just as they would had in any book, movie, painting, or song. Video games have become much more than just games. Video games have become cinematic, complex stories and works of art. What makes video games so influential is how they use mediums and their elements to strengthen itself as a medium. Cinematography is something commonly associated with television and film, but over the years it has become increasingly more common in video games as well. This can be seen in the action movie set pieces of Call of Duty or the cinematic cutscenes of Metal Gear Solid. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, MGS is one of the series that popularized the trend of making games look and feel more cinematic. You can see the connection between cinematography and the MGS series through the main director of the series, Hideo Kojima. Kojima has shown his love for movies on multiple occasions, and in 2017 during the Tribeca Games Festival has went on record on how he would love to make a movie. Kojima's love for cinematography is also seen in the games he has directed, with Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, being his two best examples of this. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots cutscenes puts Gone with the Wind's runtime to shame with roughly 8 hours and 30 minutes of just cutscenes. In fact, the game holds two world records, one for the longest cutscene in a video game at 27 minutes, and the longest sequence of cutscenes in a video game at 71 minutes. That 71 minutes is made up by the game's epilogue, and with having such a similar runtime to most movies nowadays, it's easy to compare the two. Metal Gear Solid 4's cutscenes are each expertly crafted and succeed at being cinematic. But with how excessive and long these cutscenes are, it's easy for the player to feel disconnected from the game and feel as if they're just an audience at a movie. Kojima tried solving this problem with the following game in the series, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Kojima first tried solving the problem of the game's cutscenes being long and excessive. He did this by making MGS5s being short and far between. Next, Kojima tried solving the problem of the player feeling disconnected from the game. He did this by making the camera in the game be continuously flowing behind whatever's happening, with little to no post-edit cuts. Without Kojima and his love for movies, it's likely we wouldn't have seen cinematography in games for many years to come. But ever since he has combined games and film, it is one of the most important elements of video games today. Music is an important aspect of any video game. Music in games can help build the world, set the scene, or tell a story. Grand Theft Auto is probably the best example of music helping to build a world, as it does it differently than most video games. The GTA games tries to parody real-life people, places, and trends. And one of the ways it does this is its parody radio stations. The radio stations in GTA are tailored to specific genres filled with libraries of licensed songs, just as you would see in real life. Although, the radio stations is just one element that helps build Rockstar's parody world. Doom 2016 is the perfect example of how a video game should set the scene with music. I would explain it myself, but I think the mastermind behind Doom's soundtrack better explains it himself.
Gameplay is a really dynamic experience. You go from fighting demons in close quarter combat environments to fighting hordes of demons in massive, vast areas. As you're playing, the music changes to reflect the situation that you're in. I was really inspired by these huge monolithic structures that are kind of broken to the point where you can actually see the energy that's holding these structures together. I thought, what would this energy sound like? And how could I use that?
Nier Automata, as itself, is already a deep and moral game, and its soundtrack matches this statement. In the track A Beautiful Song, it tells the story of the boss you face in which it plays during. And since most of the soundtrack is sung in a completely made-up language, the player won't actually know of this story truly until it's revealed in the second playthrough. Zach Lucas, both a gamer and guitarist, when asked if he thinks music plays an important role in video games, he responded with, "Yes, a good soundtrack can make a difference between a good game and a bad game. Music can set the mood and defines how a game will feel." I then asked him if he feels that video games can do things with music that other mediums cannot. He said yes, games can make the current track play louder or differently according to the player's actions within a game. As an added bonus, Zach told me that Destiny, Neverwinter, and Killing Floor hold some of his favorite soundtracks in games. Let us return to Nier Automata to discuss its story. Nier Automata was written by a man who's mentally insane. Yoko Otaro made Nier Automata into a thematic story that brings some of the social and moral issues we see today, just as you would see in many books. For the social and moral issues, the racism from the androids towards the machines is constantly brought up in the game, and whether or not to destroy all machines or just the hostile ones while sparing the harmless/friendly machines. An example of this is the village of peaceful machines the player is greeted with early within the game. The player either has the option to gain help from these machines or destroy the village. Even if the player chooses to ally with this peaceful village, they are still bombarded by messages and orders on how the machines cannot be trusted and must be destroyed no matter what. Briefly, I'll go over one of the themes of Nier. The game has a constant theme of hypocrisy. The androids are machines designed to look and act like humans and were made to combat the machines created by aliens. Don't ask about the aliens. The androids state how the machines are unable to have emotions, and the androids quickly dismiss this as random gibberish by the machines. On top of that, the androids, although capable, aren't allowed to express emotions, effectively making them seem closer to the machines than people. Mr. Fouts, one of Shelby Valley's English teachers who has been playing video games since the age of 3, agrees that video games are effective mediums. When I asked if he thinks video games make use of other mediums and their elements, he said yes, and used Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots as an example of cinematography and storytelling, just as I did. Fouts finds that video games can achieve more with the elements of other mediums due to the active participation of the player within the game. Fouts gave me an example of this by comparing Final Fantasy XV and Of Mice and Men, stating how he believes that Final Fantasy is a better story of friendship than of Mice and Men.